Hey everyone, so this is not something that I expected to have in hand tonight, but I got a message from a fellow collector who lives out of state that this was at Toy Hideout at the Frankenstein Collectibles show near me in California, and he mentioned that if I went and picked it up for him, he would let me unbox it and review it for my channel, so here we are. I did a full video at the Frankenstein Collectibles show last weekend, and if you want to check that out, that is on my channel, but let's take a look at the figure itself now. We can see it comes with the alternate fisted hands and the two blast effects that go in the feet to create the flight effect. Honestly, first impression here, it does look a little bit more like cheap and plasticky than it did in the promo photos, but once we get it open, we can take a better look at how this figure actually looks. So first impressions, it is a very nice glossy black. We don't really see this much shine in the Black series usually. I think the Darth Vader figure is a little bit similar in its shine. Let's look at the gun first. It's a little warped right out of the package, but I don't think that'll really be too much of an issue once it is in his hands being held. I think it'll kind of, you won't really notice that as much, but I think this is a brand new sculpt for the gun. I might be wrong, but I'm sure you guys will let me know in the comments if I am. But let's go ahead and pop the figure out before we go to any more of the accessories. So the sculpt on this is amazing. This looks just like the troopers from the show. I am a little concerned with the fingerprint problem that this figure is going to have, as well as dust. Everything just immediately shows up on this figure, so it's going to be a little bit tricky to keep him clean if you want to have him on display on your shelf, because he is supposed to look extremely perfect and glossy. So you can see that all of those imperfections just really show up really clearly on him, so you might need to take take some Windex or something. I don't know, I'm not recommending using Windex on your figures, but it might be a little bit tricky to keep him clean. We've got decent articulation on the head here, and he can look down and look up like in his flight pose when he's blasting away with Grogu, spoiler alert. And what's cool about this figure is the articulation is actually a part of the character design because this is a robot, so it's basically just a giant action figure in the show, and so being able to actually hide the joints in the joints from the show is pretty cool, and they did a really great job with that. The articulation is mostly pretty tight in the best way, but it does feel like a Black Series figure, and I feel like in the pictures it looked like something a little bit more premium. But we have really decent articulation on the ankles, and then at the knee we've got about 90, and it goes back the other way, which we won't really ever be doing. But such an important part of this character is his posing and just the fact that he looks very stiff and robotic, and so it's going to take a little bit of tweaking to get him into those certain positions. But there you see the peg holes on the feet where the flames go in, and we'll get to that later. The hands peg on sort of like Figuarts. If you've ever used one of those figures, you know how it goes, where the hands have these tiny holes. I don't like this as much as the ball joints that we saw on the Nayland Cheel and the Figure and Dan figures just recently, but let's go ahead and put those fist hands on and see how this looks. This is kind of giving me the same issues that Figuarts figures do, where it's just a really snug fit, which I guess is better than a loose fit, but it's kind of hard to get them on, and there's always the danger of bending the wrist peg when you're putting it on. You can see how it kind of slips around there just a little bit. It's a little bit tricky to get it at the exact right angle. Come on. There we go. Oh. Great. So here's what that fisted hand looks like, and it looks a little small to be honest, but let's see if he can get into a blast off Superman pose. I think the shoulder pads are definitely going to get in the way there, but that's not really how he flies, so we don't really need to worry about that. Let's go ahead and try to get him to stand. Now you can see he's got these kind of wobbly ankles that a lot of these droid figures with these kinds of joints have, but I feel like we could probably work with it. I also feel like it's hard to get his body looking a little bit symmetrical. Maybe I just need to spend some time with it since I just pulled it right out of the package, but let's see how long it takes me to get him into a standing pose without any flight stands. I'm really obsessing over the symmetry here. Maybe if we put him into more of like a power stance, like that scene where he's punching through the door. Let's get those wrists up. I'm gonna need to spend some more time with this. Okay, so after a good 30 seconds of finagling here, I got him into a decent standing pose. Still not perfect, but let's take a look at some of these other accessories that come in the package, like the blast effects. This is the same kind of orange and red flame effect that we saw with the Incinerator Trooper as well as the Boba Fett. But what's interesting about these is they have a little ball peg at the end, so you get a little bit of ball joint articulation. Let's see how much flexibility this had. Okay, not much, but let's go ahead and stick that back in. That's kind of cool that you can give him that little angled effect, so that really helps sell the illusion that he's blasting off. So let's see how he looks in mid-air here. I need to get a proper clear flight stand, I know, but in the meantime, my hand will have to do. And I'm excited to see how you guys display him with your flight stands, because I think that's gonna look really cool. But let's bring Grogu in and see how that looks. It's not the tightest fit, but I think with a little finagling and maybe some sticky tack, you can definitely get him into that pose. Someone cue the dubstep music, please. All right, I think you guys get the idea there. Let's go ahead and see how he looks holding his blaster. So let's go ahead and switch these hands back to the open hands, and he does have this really nice trigger finger, which I wish we saw on more figures. You know, this is kind of, you get that big C-clamp grip, then it's hard to really make it look like they're holding the gun or get the gun to fit in their hand, but this one works great. And then his left hand is just a plain open C-grip. I am working on a 3D printed diorama of the hub where the Dark Troopers are stored, like the one that comes with the Vintage Collection figure, but let's see how this one looks with some friends. Let's bring in the Black Series Mando. This is a custom helmet, but this gives you an idea of height. And then this is the Figuarts Luke from the Mandalorian Season 2, supposedly. It's not exactly the right outfit, but that's what they called it. Now, as tempted as I am to do a really cool Luke Skywalker versus the Dark Troopers setup, I'm gonna leave that to you guys. But there you have it. There is the Black Series Dark Trooper. Let me know what you guys think about this figure in the comments. I really like it. I think it's a great figure, and I really want to get like 4 of them at least to have on the shelf, as well as in that little hub setup that I will be making. But in the meantime, thank you for watching. Please like, please subscribe, and I will see you all next time.